Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. You might be wondering why I'm wearing my Jimmy G jersey, and there's three reasons why. Number one, I'm not just a Laker fan. I'm a huge Niner fan. I'm also a season ticket holder. So that's one. Number two, NFL season is like 10 days away, and I'm super excited about this coming year. We got a strong offensive line. We have a strong defense. Our receivers are second to none. Our running backs are healthy. Jimmy G's on fire. And then number three, it's extremely related to what we're talking about today. But before I jump in, I want to take a quick story, which again, it does set context for the rest of what I want to talk about. And it goes back to the Super Bowl between the 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens. And if you remember correctly, during halftime, Niners were down 18 points, right? And I was upset, cursing, 6 or 7 beers in, kicking doors in the backyard. And what happened was the power went out. And so halftime is usually 30 minutes. And I believe it was more like 45 minutes. The power was out. So the teams were kind of waiting. And there was an infamous tweet that went out. And the tweet was from Oreo, Oreo cookies. And the tweet said something along the lines of, power out, ? No problem. You could still dunk in the dark. And had a really cool image of, a glass of milk and Oreos, which is, culturally what we do. We dip cookies in the milk and we eat them. And so they were very, not just lucky, but they kind of understood that there was an opportunity and they moved quick, right? They were agile. They published the content. And since then, that content has been engaged with and shared and talked about in hundreds of blog posts, hundreds of articles. It's been in white papers. I believe it's in a Harvard Business Review case study as well. And so it's a classic example of what we call real-time marketing, okay? Now, in Oreo's case, they could be relevant to everybody. Not everybody eats Oreos, but most people eat cookies or, and dunk cookies in milk. I know I did when I was a kid. But they're, since then, a lot of brands have tried to kind of replicate that. If you think about all the award shows, all the halftime shows since then, which has been 7-8 years, a lot of companies have been somewhat successful and many have failed. And the reason why is they're trying to be relevant to everyone, not the people that buy their products. Okay. Now, Oreo, again, is different because it's a consumer product and you can buy it anywhere. But if you're a technology company or you're a company who are selling mortgages or things of that regard, you're trying to leverage, a cultural moment to be relevant to, an audience that doesn't care. And that is the problem with most brands today. They are using this mindset of brand as publisher, real-time content, but they're not creating the content that actually matters to an audience. So what I want to talk about is, real-time listening, real-time content marketing, but done so in a smarter and strategic way. Now, it's pretty simple and self-explanatory, right? Real-time listening is listening to the conversations, the content being published, and responding quickly. Or, whether it's, and it could be a crisis in many cases, but an opportunity. I call it opportunistic media, where you are listening to a group of people and they say something that's relevant to your business and you create content quickly and publish. That is what I call real-time listening and or real-time marketing, depending upon who it is you're talking to. And so the next question is how do you actually do this? Now, I'm going to talk about how I would do it, mainly because I'm not just going to share theory or thoughts or anecdotal information without actually talking about how to do it. It wouldn't be right, and there are too many people out there who are just sharing ideas just because they're reading other ideas and they've never done it. So I've done this, I do it all the time, and it works, okay? So here's how to do it. Number one, build an audience. Now, very easy to say, there's a ton of videos. I will link either somewhere up here to that so that you can reference that video. I call it multi-segment audience intelligence because you have audiences, but they're not just one. There's sub-segments of your audiences. And if you think about B2B audiences, there's so many different types of buyers. If you think about consumer audiences, you have different cultures, different geographies, different ethnicities. And if you're trying to reach all of them, they all have unique interests and characteristics. And then the next thing I would do is I would upload that audience into some type of platform. I call it a real-time listening panel, but it could be like a Brand Watch or Pulsar, which has the ability to create what they call social panels and monitor groups of people. Okay, so that to me is important because you're not just listening to the world, you're listening to people that actually matter to your business. Okay, at that point you create filters, and what I like to do is I like to do a historical analysis to understand what are the topics and trends that were important to this audience 12 months ago, and what are important today, and how has that changed? Because you can start to see trending topics going up and then trending topics going down. The ones that are going down, you just ignore. The ones that are going up, you can start to think about, okay, how do I predict what's going to happen next? how do I predict what's going to be top of mind for this audience? And then how can I create content that is relevant to that audience? Whether it's owned content or pitch stories or social content, whatever it is, being able to predict that behavior will put you in front of your competitors, because you can start to get in front of them and then reach that audience with relevancy and relevant content in general. And then that's when the real time comes in. Right? It's being able to listen to what your audience is saying today, right now, and be able to turn around content quickly. I call it a content engine, and being able to publish that content quickly. Now, the reality is this process takes, in some cases, a long time. I call it the content supply chain. If you think about general supply chain, you have your raw materials and then it turns into a finished product. That entire process is the supply chain. And it's the same thing with this. You have an idea based on data, and you want your finished product is content. You want to publish that quickly. That's the supply chain. It represents workflows. It represents approvals. It represents feedback. And so the reality is that you want to get that content published quickly. You want to get it done in 24 or 36 hours. Some cases it takes longer than that. Now, from an operational standpoint, that's a lot of times you're going to have the challenge, because on the brand side, a lot of times, legal is going to have to approve, your creative team is going to have to approve, your client, your day-to-day will approve it. And sometimes that could take, that's a process in itself. And so being able to set up workflows and structures so that you can, get that content through that supply chain quickly and published, then all of a sudden, you can be a more agile team, and you can, actually start to make an impact with the content you're publishing. Now, from a team standpoint, here are a few roles that you should be looking for to manage this. Number one, an editorial person, somebody a good writer who can write good headlines, a good copywriter. You're going to also need an analyst, somebody who can, export data and look at shared data, see who's sharing what and why. You're going to need a paid media person, somebody who can build audiences quickly, whether it's keyword targeting or, hashtag targeting, or just your tailored audiences. And then you're going to need a creative person, a designer, somebody who can build an animated GIF or some type of animated video quickly, and that is the process. That is the role that you need, or the roles that you need, and the operations needed to get it done. It operates very much like a newsroom. I wrote about this in 2013 in a book called Your Brand, the Next Media Company. And I talk about how to optimize your content operations so that you can build a listening panel and create content quickly and with relevancy. And then the back end operations side of it, where, how you can structure teams, how you can structure agencies and agency partners, so that you can, have that model of swift and agile responses based on what the audiences are talking about. So that's pretty much it. I mean, again, I'm oversimplifying it, but it's building an audience. It's uploading them to a listening panel. It's listening in real time. It's creating content in real time. But then the behind the scenes, again, is thinking about roles, operations, and workflows. Now, a lot of the platforms today, like Chorus or Sprinkler, or there's several others out there that allow you to, from a technology standpoint, facilitate that workflow process, but humans still need to approve it. So hopefully this was a helpful video for you. If you're interested in the book, it's available on Amazon. I think it's $20 or so. I have a couple copies here, so if you want it, I can send one to you. It did pretty well. It's pretty good feedback on it. So it talks about that in the specifics on building that media or publisher environment for brand. So I hope this video was valuable to you. And again, I only share things that I've done and things that I know, and I'm not always right. So if you have feedback for me, or you want to challenge any things I say, I'm happy to have that discussion or that dialogue. And again, for those of you who have encouraged me and supported me for the last 9 months of doing these videos, thank you. I'm super excited to continue these videos even beyond 2020 into 2021. I'm starting to run out of things to say and talk about, so I'm trying to figure out what the next videos will be, pretty much week to week. So thank you again. Please be safe and stay healthy. And until I see you next time, talk to you soon. Bye.